On this episode, we discuss the culture. More specifically, we speak about the culture within. Tune in to become a better manager of your inner world, learn how to effectively cultivate what you desire, and more, right here on LifeClub. I'm Tashima Jones. Welcome to LifeClub. I genuinely believe personal development unlocks the door to the abundant and wonderful life we all already have. I also believe we must be intentional about seeking out that life in order to find and fulfill it. I am so grateful your journey of discovery has led you all the way here. Let's keep moving forward together. Once again, welcome to Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. Welcome. Super excited that you are joining me on Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. Just so happy to be here as always. Thanks so much for rocking with me for 52 episodes. Yes, Life Club is 1 year young. You can tune in to each episode on tashimajones.com or by downloading my app, TJMTV. So today we are speaking about the hashtag culture. It is vital to understand the concept of culture because of its ability to influence our everyday lives, the way we think, speak, act, and even dress. So many of our likes and dislikes stem from the culture we were raised in. Just to think, if you were born in another country at a different time, you may despise the very food you eat and not even sound like you sound. So, what is culture? And more importantly, how does it shape us on a personal level? And when I say personal level, I mean each and every level of you as a being. So we hear the term, quote unquote, the culture quite often, but we have to fully understand what that means and how it actually works. And you already know I have a definition for you, because when we know the definition of a thing, we are better equipped to using it properly. So I want to take the definition of culture from the science world, and it's this idea of maintaining an environment suitable for growth. So culture is to maintain in an environment suitable for growth, and closely related to this word is cultivate, and to cultivate is to grow plants. Okay, so let's just digest the definition itself. Understand that culture is this concept of maintaining something in an environment that's suitable for growth, and to cultivate is to actually grow a thing. When we recognize that, and I always have to go back to this concept of us being a womb, like we are literally giving birth to thoughts and ideas every single minute of every single day. And the earth itself is a womb. If you were to drop, and actually have like a perfect example of this, some neighbors years ago out in Georgia, they were just eating watermelon on the front porch, and they would spit the seeds out from the watermelon. And a few weeks later, they have an entire watermelon patch growing in their front yard without any type of maintenance to it. Literally, those seeds hit the soil and began to grow. And the same is true for us when it comes to our thoughts and our ideas and what we receive, what we AKA choose to think on, the thoughts that we choose to meditate on. That concept of meditation is truly cultivation. It's cultivating an idea long enough to give birth to it until it bears fruit. And this is the very important thing that we have to understand, that a farmer is more interested in his or her seed than they are with the fruit. I repeat, the most important thing to a farmer is the seed, because in that seed, there's pounds and pounds and pounds of fruit and trees in it. And I think too often we are seeking the fruit without seeking the seed and the process of producing, of realizing that fruit. So when we speak about this concept of culture, we have to understand that it is the environment that things grow in, and we are responsible for that environment. We are responsible for maintaining that environment. And once again, that environment is our mind, the womb of our soul, because out of it flows the fruit and flows literally the issues of life. Everything that you are producing is coming from the inside of you. And I just want to sit there for a little bit, because once again, too often we are so infatuated and we're chasing that fruit, but we're not recognizing the seed. We're not recognizing the importance of the seed. We're not recognizing the vitality of this concept of actually receiving a thing in seed form and then producing it. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned it here, but in conversations with Spirit, I've recognized that we have to understand this truth about our inner worlds. We have to recognize and understand this truth about our thought life. It is so important, so vital for us to really take responsibility for our thoughts, take authority over our thoughts, and really understand our superpower as human beings to actually choose a thought. And I think that is the issue with people. We are not aware of this concept of being able to choose our thoughts. I think oftentimes we don't think we have that power. We don't think we have that free will to actually pick and choose what we think on and what we meditate on. And once we get to that space in our lives on the inside of ourselves, we are then so empowered and so equipped to really do the work that it takes to really do the cultivating of what it is that we are supposed to bear fruit to. The similarities between someone chasing the fruit and not appreciating the seed is the same as someone chasing the miracle and not appreciating the blessing. Blessings are an everyday experience. It's a process. It's a lifestyle. While miracles happen every now and then, and too often we are chasing the miracle, we're chasing the fruit, and we're not chasing the seed. And the amazing thing about it is that you don't have to chase the seed because it's already in you. It's already in you. And when we get so caught up in the production of a thing or the end of a thing, we never really live in the now, and we never really know how to do or how to manifest or how to reproduce that fruit. Because once you eat the fruit, it is gone. Let's just think about that. But imagine if you knew how to farm. Imagine if you knew how to cultivate that fruit over and over and over and over again. Your life will be so much better lived if you understood that concept. So I want to dig into this idea of culture and the environment. Understand that in this conversation, we are speaking about the inner world, the inner being, the inner garden, the inner culture that we are living by. So I feel like there's a few stages to this where we may find ourselves. Some of us may find ourselves in this stage of not really understanding that you even have an inner world. Let's just take a deep breath on that one. Some of us do not recognize that we have an inner world. And when you don't recognize that you have an inner world, you are literally being swept away by every thought that comes to you. Oh, let's just take a deep breath on that. A lot of us are really living a lifestyle so literally out of our minds because we have no concept of this inner world that we are experiencing on an everyday basis, and we can't make the connection between what's going on within us and what's going on externally. So when you don't understand that there is a culture living on the inside of you, there is an environment that we take part in making suitable for growth, when you don't understand that, that's when you live on this emotional, spiritual, mental, financial, relationship roller coaster. Everything is out of whack because you do not understand the function of the culture that lives on the inside of you. So once you get past that, once you start to grasp that concept that holds on, like there is a culture on the inside of me, there is an environment happening on the inside of me. And if you tuned into our last installment of Life Club, where we spoke about where thoughts come from, you would understand that we can't have an honest conversation about thoughts if we do not acknowledge that there is a spiritual, aka invisible realm that we live in. One thing is for sure is that Life Club does its best to live by truth and to live by enlightenment. And we cannot ignore, and professionals cannot ignore this truth and this reality about it being a spiritual, aka invisible world that we coexist in. And once you are accepting of that, you can then start to accept the inner reality, the inner world that you are operating in. And you can start to unpack some of the things that you are experiencing. So when we speak about this first step of transitioning from not knowing that you have a culture on the inside of you into accepting that you have a culture on the inside of you, then you have to recognize your power and your authority to actually cultivate in that environment. And this goes back to this concept of not understanding that every thought is not your thought. Every thought, you don't have to accept every thought that comes to you. Once again, we spoke about on the show of the origin of thought, or where thoughts come from. We understand that you only have two types of thoughts, those of life and those that are not of life. And you know, I don't like saying certain words, but those are your options. Every thought stems from those two trees of wisdom, of knowledge, if you will. So once again, when you understand that you are responsible for maintaining the culture, the garden that's on the inside of you, then you are empowered to move forward in choosing the thoughts that you want to plant and you want to cultivate. And this part can be super difficult because it's in the knowing that you can actually do that. And I'm going to be honest, that may take some time. It really may take some time for you to grasp this concept that you can choose the thoughts that you take hold of, the thoughts that you choose, and then the thoughts that you meditate on, aka cultivate. You grow them, you water them, you give it sunlight, you tend to them until they grow and bear fruit. So I wanted to go over how to basically tend to your culture, tend to that environment. And I'm a big believer in unlearning a lot of the stuff that we've learned over time, whether it was in school or at home or in any other system of society. There's so many things that we have to unlearn. There's so many things that have been planted on the inside of us that weren't necessarily suitable for bearing fruit. And the fruit that it does bear, that information, that wisdom, that knowledge, is probably not fruit that you actually want to eat. So first, we have to get that soil ready. We have to get that environment ready. And part of doing that is unlearning. That is raking up some weeds, raking up some rocks and minerals that don't belong there, really unpacking the issues that we've experienced in life, the things that we haven't gotten over, the people that we have not forgiven, and so many other issues that we go through in life itself. So we have to get rid of certain toxic thoughts and certain toxic emotions. And in doing that, you start to eliminate the toxic behaviors Too often we are trying to work from the outside in when we actually need to be working from the inside out. And in order to do that, you have to be transparent. One of our favorite words here on a Life Club, being transparent with yourself about the things that you probably need to let go of and you just haven't. And even if it's in saying, I want to let go of this, I just don't know how, because you have to start where you are. I think too many of us try to be superheroes spiritually without starting on the ground level. And it's in starting on the ground level that we really begin to elevate and rise up. But it starts on that scale of the simplicity of where you are. So as we unlearn the things that we may have experienced, some of the thoughts and activities and emotions that we've cultivated, and now we're just bearing fruit to them over and over and over again. We're bearing fruit to these unproductive, unprofitable thoughts and ideas and emotions. You just have to get to a space in your life where you simply just want a change for the better. And again, you don't have to have all of the answers in that present moment. You just have to have the desire and the will to really seek something other than what it is that you've been experiencing for however long you've been experiencing it. So when we are getting our inner culture, our inner world into a space that's ready for planting, we have to get rid of some of the things that have been there, whether that has to do with your financial practices and your thoughts and ideas and concepts and your philosophy when it comes to money, or the ideas that you have towards relationships. You have to even be honest about, well, do I even like myself, let alone this dude or this girl that I'm interested in? Because if you don't like you, you're never going to see anybody else liking you. And I can't even say that you can't like other people, because you probably can, but you will never really be in a space to receive love if you don't first love yourself. So it doesn't matter which area, which level, personally and spiritually, you have to unlearn certain patterns and paradigms that aren't profiting you. And that is the first step to getting your environment suitable for growth, aka that inner culture, aka your inner world. Start to unlearn, aka rake up some of the things that do not belong there. And once you do that, you are able to start to pick some seeds. But before I even go into that, I really, really want to suggest, in this process of unlearning and unpacking and getting rid of things that are unprofitable, continue to maintain patience and grace towards yourself, because one of the hardest things is to go through what I call spiritual rehab without this concept of grace towards yourself. I think too often we're trying so hard to forgive other people, and we're trying so hard to forgive certain things that may have happened or forget certain things that may have happened to us. But again, everything starts within you, towards you. You have to learn how to receive grace in order to really do anything in life. Let's just take a deep breath on that. You have to first be transparent. And secondly, you have to receive grace. You have to understand that not receiving grace is a roadblock to your growth. And it truly stagnates you from moving forward. Because one of the things that will happen is that if you get something quote unquote wrong, I say quote unquote because I truly don't believe there's any mistakes in life. I just believe that there are lessons that we are learning along the way. But if you see it as you doing something wrong or as you not getting something perfect, you start to condemn yourself and you start to stagnate your growth. So we have to be mindful of being patient with ourselves and extending grace towards ourselves. We have to truly be in a space where we are able to receive love. And when you're able to do that, so many of the things that have kept you back will truly be released from you because you're no longer holding up that toxicity. Once again, when we are getting the culture on the inside of us ready to plant some good seed, we have to be transparent, aka we have to be so light, so truthful, so honest with where we are, that light can pass through it. And light is truly wisdom. Light is truth. Light is enlightenment. So when we get to that point where we are transparent enough to start the process, and when we get to that point where we can extend grace towards ourselves, we are then able to move forward into this space of clarity. Now, I have grappled with this concept of clarity for a long time because some people may think, okay, clarity is just not having any thoughts. Clarity may be knowing exactly what to do. Clarity is truly peace. It is absence from war. It's not knowing everything. It's not having everything. It's not even understanding everything. It is being peaceful with everything. That is truly what clarity is. Clarity is this calm space, this quiet confidence in knowing that it is well. And when we get to that point of clarity, we truly separate ourselves from fear. We separate ourselves from fear of things going wrong. We separate ourselves from the fear of our past coming back to haunt us. We separate ourselves from the fear of the future. We are in the space of clarity, which is truly peace. And that's honestly the way in which our garden should be maintained, in a peaceful environment. Because when you are in a space of peace, when you are in a space of rest, things can actually grow and take root. But just imagine if a farmer plants a seed and like this gust of wind comes in. Imagine if the farmer never really gets to plant his seed because there's so much rain coming down, lightning and hail. We have to operate from this place of clarity, aka this place of peace. So once again, when we are getting our garden, aka our inner culture, our inner world ready to plant some good seed, we first have to unlearn, unload, unpack toxicity. That can be thoughts and emotions, that can be unforgiveness, that can be so many things that are clogging up your inner being and clogging up your mind, your will, and emotions. And once we get past that, with being transparent, we can operate in this space of clarity. We can operate in this space of light and life. We can operate in this space of peace. So getting our gardens ready to plant some good seed is really what I like to call spiritual rehab. It is letting go of the things that have kept you bound. It's letting go of lies and mistruths that you've learned along the way, and even traumatic experiences that you didn't necessarily ask for. It's letting those things go and arriving at a space of peace. If you are just tuning in, this is Life Club with me, Tashima Jones, and we are speaking about the culture. And that culture is your inner world. What's going on within you? We spoke about seeing ourselves as a garden, seeing our inner being as this garden that we are responsible for maintaining and cultivating. And to cultivate is to grow a thing. And this concept of culture is to maintain in an environment suitable for growth. One of the things that we spoke about was actually getting that environment on the inside of you suitable for growth. We spoke about unpacking toxicity, whether it be thoughts, concepts, and ideas, and any forms of unforgiveness that we may be holding on to. We have to truly be transparent in letting those things go, first by acknowledging and accepting that there are some things that you need to let go of, and there is some stuff in there that shouldn't be there and is really holding you back. And the most important reality about this is that you are truly your biggest problem. And that's a good thing, because if you are the problem, you are the one who can correct that problem. It is a very sad space to be in when you think that everybody else is the problem. It's a very powerless place to exist in, and it's a very toxic place to really think that the system externally or the people externally are the cause of your problems and the remedy to your success. Neither one is true. And when you recognize that you are your biggest problem, you can then become your biggest supporter and the person that truly can change and be a part of revolutionizing your life. So when we get our gardens ready for planting some good seed, we will find ourselves in a space of peace, aka clarity. And that's what clarity is. It's not knowing everything. It's not having everything. Remember, if you are dealing with seeds, you 9 times out of 10, you don't have the fruit. If you have a seed, you don't have the fruit. And that's an okay space to be in. Remember, stop chasing the fruit and cultivate the seed. Stop looking for the miracle and learn how to live in the blessing on a daily basis. So I really am amazed by science. I truly believe that science reveals that there is spirit and there is true life. I think they work together. And if you haven't had the chance to really listen to the last show, the last installment of LifeClub, Where Do Thoughts Come From? The Origin of Thought, I truly believe that it is a powerful installment of the show because it really breaks down the concept of where thoughts come from, and it puts you in the driver's seat of how to actually meditate on those thoughts and recognizing that you have the power to choose what it is that you think about and what it is that you meditate on and cultivate, because we have to get to this space of clarity. And that is truly that space of clarity, is understanding your power and understanding your free will to choose what you are going to meditate on. And that puts you in the seat to continue to just manifest things and continue to realize things. This concept of realizing something is to take it from abstract, to take it from thought and bring it into reality. You are realizing a thought in this process of receiving a thought, planning a thought, meditating on it, aka watering it, cultivating it, and then you see the fruits of it. Just imagine if you're able to do that. You would stop chasing fruit and be so grateful for this concept of being a gardener. And if anybody knows me, you know I like plants, and you know I plant seeds from salad. And I actually have the amazing privilege of growing a pepper plant right here in Harlem. And I got 2 really great, tasty peppers from it. And just that process of planting a thing and taking care of it and being patient with it and giving it what it needs, that process and seeing something actually go from a seed to a fruit to something that I can take and digest and continue to grow over and over and over again really, really changed my life. So I truly recommend that if you do not have a plant, get one. And don't necessarily purchase one that's already grown. Purchase some seeds, get yourself some dirt, and find yourself responsible for bringing this plant to life. And I truly believe that it will change your inner garden to see that with your natural eyes. So once again, when you are getting your garden ready for some good seeds, you have to be transparent in acknowledging that you have some stuff that you need to get rid of. And I wanted to pause very briefly on this concept of forgiveness. A few years ago, I met someone who forever changed my perspective of this idea of forgiveness. And the thing that he said was, forgiveness is not ignoring the offense. It's seeing the person outside of the offense. I'm going to say that again. Forgiveness is not saying that this offense did not take place. It's not continuing. It's in this concept of not continuing to see that person with that glaze of the offense in front of them. Yes, you may choose how you walk and talk with this person moving forward. Or if it's a simple event, yes, you may start to think differently about how you're going to go about certain things that you may do, say, or take part in. But you don't constantly see the person or the event through this glaze of the offense, of the hurt, of the trauma. Because then you're stuck in this revolving door of hurt and pain and disappointment, never really living your life. And I always go back to our infamous baby. A parent is not going to carry their baby forever. They're going to put the baby on the floor to learn how to crawl and eventually stand up and walk. But if that parent always came over every time that child fell, that child would never learn how to walk. And the same is true for us. Things happen in life. But the power is in getting back up and moving forward. And if you have to move forward a little bit differently, so be it. But you can't stay stuck on that fall to where you just stay there and you just sit there and you just live in it. You have to forgive, aka not ignore that the offense occurred, but not look at the person or the thing. Even it could be business. Okay, you tried business. This concept didn't work. That doesn't mean that you're not called to be an entrepreneur. It just means you may have to critique your focus and critique your product or service or critique the way in which you carry out that business. We can't stay in this space of unforgiveness, aka seeing the person or the thing through the lens of the offense. We truly have to move forward from that. And I truly believe forgiveness is an act of faith. You might not see that the person changed, but you just got to believe that you have digested the situation in a way where you've come to a place of peace. Because that's the other thing. Forgiveness doesn't automatically mean that the person is going to change. It just means that you are freeing yourself to move forward. So once we get to that space of peace, we are then ready to start to plant. I want to take a moment to go through this process of getting actual soil on earth ready for planting. First, you have to prepare the soil. You have to use a rake and a hand fork to loosen the soil. You have to break apart large soil clumps and remove debris like sticks, rocks, and roots. Then you have to add amendments to the soil like fertilizer, organic matter, etc. And then once you get to that point, you have to finish by creating a level surface. And there is your peace. So in spiritual rehab, in our inner world, in the invisible, aka spiritual world, preparation for the soil is our transparency. Using that rake is combing through the things that we know we need to let go of. Breaking apart the large soil clumps and removing the debris is that forgiveness. It's that growing. It's that extending grace. It's really dealing with the issues that have kept you back. Adding that fertilizer, I can't even say I have something for that, but I'm sure it'll come to me and I'll share it with you on another installment of LifeClub. And last but not least, you finish by creating a level surface, and there goes your peace. You cannot grow in a space of toxicity. And too many of us are trying to move forward, not dealing with the issues that are inside of us. Too many of us are trying to show up to a new place in our lives without dealing with the things that we are currently experiencing on the inside. Because wherever you go, you're going to bring that same energy. Deal with the issues, and it looks different for everybody. And that's where I want to go right now. Here are some tips and tools on how to practically get your culture right on the inside. I truly am an avid fan of journaling. Writing for me is one of the ways. It's like the first step in manifesting something and realizing something from the spirit world into the natural world. When you say something and when you write something, you are literally bringing it out of the invisible world into the five sensory realm. So for me, journaling is so important. And I think a lot of times we want to jump right into the speaking, but journaling is something that I may not even be able to explain, but for those of us who have been healed from journaling, you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, you should try it. So start to write down the things that you need to let go of, and allow yourself to sit in a space of as much clarity, aka peace, that you can, to get those words out on the page. Get yourself a journal. This can be a composition notebook. It could be something fancy, whatever. It could be sticky notes. Start to journal what it is that you are experiencing within yourself and the things that you truly want to let go of. And I believe from that, you will move into this space of forgiveness. You will move into this space of extending grace towards yourself and towards others. And I believe once you start to get all of those things out on the paper, you are setting yourself up for a good space to meditate. Some people want to just go right into meditation mode, and you sitting there having a whole argument in your mind without your mouth even moving. So take the first step in journaling to really clarify and to get some stuff out, to rake up some of that debris, those sticks and them rocks that don't belong there. And I believe from that, you will move into the space of forgiveness towards yourself, towards other people, and even towards events that may have occurred in your life. And then you will be in a space within that you can actually sit still and meditate, aka take a thought and chew on it. Take a thought and think about it over and over and over again until it becomes real in your life. And the key and the reason why you need to journal, the reason why you need to forgive, is because you don't want to be in a space of meditating on the wrong thing, because that is what you are going to give birth to. That is what you are going to cultivate, aka grow on, not only on the inside of you, but externally as well. Now, some other forms of healing can be counseling, speaking to someone about these things. I myself have experienced counseling, and it wasn't the end all be all, but it was a step. It was an outlet for me to move forward in life, for me to pick up some tips and tools and gems along the way. Now, once you get to this place of peace, once you get to this place of empowerment and knowing that you can choose your thoughts, and that you are ready to choose thoughts that are profitable, because that's the other thing. Some of us know our power. We just don't know which thoughts to choose. So you got to get rid of some negative thinking. You got to get rid of some toxicity so that you know which thoughts, aka which seeds, you want to plant in your garden, in your culture, on the inside of you, in that environment that is suitable for growth. And this is a process. This is a process that has to be practiced over and over and over again. And you will know when you start to bear fruit. And that's a sweet spot to be in, because not only are you seeing the fruit, but you know how that fruit got there. And there is so much more power in knowing how it got there than in simply getting there. LifeClub never ends. We always have those 3 dots. Thank you so much for rocking with me on another installment of LifeClub with me, Tashima Jones. We're probably going to pick back up on this conversation in our next installment. I think we can do a part 2. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me. And for that, I am truly, truly grateful. Remember, you can celebrate 52 episodes with me by simply visiting tashimajones.com to check out all of our episodes there. Be sure to download my app, TJMTV. And there's so many other things that are coming to mind, but I'm just going to save it for next time. Thank you so much once again. Remember your greatness. Talk soon. I am Tashima Jones, and you've been listening to LifeClub. Thank you for tuning in.